In this video, we're talking all about the 90-degree hold. You see, this is actually a pretty tough exercise, but I think that it's very achievable. So this is how you can build up to the 90-degree hold. However, if you don't train your body in the right positions, you're not gonna be able to do this movement. You gotta train in a specific way. So I'll show you in this video exactly how you can build up the relative strength needed, how you can lean into the position, and finally, and most importantly, how you can leverage your body in different positions to train the exact muscles you need to, allowing you to slowly expand into that position and eventually hold it. That way you don't look like this loser, not being able to do it. And you'll even be able to do the one move that Azula did when she did that fire blast at Zuko. You're gonna wanna learn this. Starting with level 1, we're gonna awaken our strength via push-ups. You can even do these with me if you'd like. Eventually, you're gonna be able to support your entire body weight with just your arms. So you're gonna need to be pretty strong. Start out with push-ups, and then eventually move to pseudo planche push-ups, which I'm starting to realize is one of the most important exercises. It might be up there with pull-ups. And y'all know me, like I don't just say that, okay? It's crazy how important it is. So do your pseudo planche push-ups. So when you're performing these, just start at where your hands are comfortable and slowly try to get them closer and closer to your waist, leaning as far forward as you can. And if you're doing it correctly, you're not gonna be able to do very many reps. It's challenging for all levels, as the more you lean, the harder this thing gets. That said, it's a hard one, especially in the beginning, because you just don't have that straight arm strength to really get into that position. And then on top of that, it's just hard. So build up from where you're at and slowly move your hands back over time, and then extending up into a planche lean at the end with a rounded scapula, really finishing out the movement. As you're getting stronger and you continue to go on, your form's gonna get better with time. So be patient and keep working it. And these types of push-ups are pretty difficult, so incorporating planche leans to help you with that like upper portion of the push-up will also be pretty cool. Most people will never have a chance to do this thing because they just don't train it. But if you get yourself into the position and start training, progress will come quite quickly, and then you'll be able to do it. That said, it all starts by getting yourself into that position. Then we lean into our destiny. And that's the next stage of learning this movement. It's leaning into the movement and eventually even popping up into that position and floating into it for a little bit. It starts with where you're at, holding it for like 15 to 20 seconds at whatever stage that is for you, and then moving to the next one. And eventually we're gonna go to harder exercises and leverage our body weight. But let me tell you about that later. For right now, lean into what you got. So the first one is gonna be holding the bottom of the pseudo planche push-up, and it's essentially a 90-degree hold, but you have your feet on the ground. And try to lean forward as far as possible. Then we can move to a 90-degree hold with toe taps. A mistake I made was just tapping around, and you can't ego lift on this one. You can ego lift on other exercises, but not this one. You wanna make sure that you control it, so just go one foot to the next, but slow and controlled. And finally, we can do the 90-degree hold with a little float at the top. So you kind of float up in that position and back down. Float up in that position and back down. And there's gonna be a lot of blood flow to the head, a few neck veins. That's good. That means you're training hard. That's good work. The more you can get into a position, the more you can train it. We simply wanna train what we're trying to do. So do that. But the final stage is the most important, and it's leveraging your body weight so you can get into that position and really hold it. So let's do it. Onward. And the next stage is to go for it and really commit to getting into that position. There's a few ways you can contort your body to make it a little bit easier. I've not really trained this exercise in the past, but when I wanted to learn it, I just committed to doing this, and I learned it like that. It took me a month. Out of all these, if you're just trying to learn the 90-degree hold, I would do this one. And it starts with training the bent arm tucked planche, and then eventually we're gonna extend into the other variations. But first, let's talk about the bent arm planche. So this one, we're really building up the shoulders, triceps, and learning to hold our body weight. It's something you don't always do, so you kind of have to train for it. And you can start by tucking yourself up into a ball. The more we extend, the harder this is gonna get, obviously. So it starts here. And I would simply even try to hold this thing for like 10 seconds. And if you need help training it, you could do like an L sit into a bent arm tucked planche, and doing a few sets of those really helps you control your body weight because it's hard. Simply going like this though, nothing crazy. Making sure that we have the strength for that one, because eventually we wanna extend the ball. Extending your body upward, which is easier, and then extending your body horizontally. So first, extending your body vertically. Kind of looks like this. This is the bent arm planche. This is the first progression. And that's a bent arm handstand. This stuff's tough though. This stuff's tough. Once you have that down, and if you train the handstand, you can lower from a handstand down into an L-sit using dumbbells. That was one that helped me. Training the negative of like lowering yourself down in the 90 is such a great exercise.
Warning though, that one is really hard to do, but it does come. If you master the negative, you get the positive. So if you want to hold the 90 degree, lower down into it until you slowly develop the strength to go from handstand to 90 degree, and eventually you might even be able to go back up.
But let's talk about how you can just do the 90 degree hold specifically. Simply by moving your legs outwards, you make this exercise a lot easier. And if you angle your knees up, it'll make it even more easy. So I'm gonna do both of those.
Once your strength is at this point, you basically got it. And eventually you can move your feet out to the straddle, which will be the next progression. The straddle is a little bit tough, but it looks so cool. Start to push your limits, kick your feet out there and try to hold it until you're able to get it. Because once you can get that, you basically have the full thing. As you're going through all these progressions from the bent arm, tucked planche, all the way to the halfway and the straddle, make sure that you're progressing at the level that's best for you, ensuring that you get everything out of yourself. If you can hold the straddle for 5 seconds, hold that straddle for a little bit, and then pop back into the lower progression and train that. Simply going down the ladder of what you can do until you got nothing left in the tank. Then you heal up, rest, and the next time you come back, you'll be able to go to the next progression, or you'll be able to hold it for longer. I guarantee you, if you do that, you'll build up the strength, and then you can do the full 90 degrees.
And that's how I trained to be able to hold it for a little bit longer. And I'm still not like the best 90 degreeer ever, but I mean, I can hold it, and that's pretty good. So it's achievable. You can 100% do it. And it's really just more of a consistency thing. Like, not that many people train for this specifically. So if you do, you're gonna be able to like build up the strength necessary, hit the right niches in your body, and start to kind of float, which is pretty sick. Anyways, that's how you go horizontal, hold that position, and just kind of like think, oh, this isn't that hard.